just got over here to Arclight Fab, and some of you guys might realize there's a bunch of Fords around here. So let's see if we can find Aaron, if anybody's in here. See a Ford. Hello? Yo! What's up, bro?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Dude, haven't seen you in a minute.
Hey, I know it's been a while.
Dude, nice to catch you at LST, and then I can't wait for you to show me.
Yeah, last time you were here, we were punching holes in the side of the building, so we got that done, and then not much else. So we got the burb, Adamae got finally sitting. It's actually bolted to its frame rail, and I only work on this truck about 2 weeks a year, so I'm thinking maybe 2045 or so I'll be driving it. But it's got frame horns on it, and the cab's completely mounted, so...
Dude, she's looking freaking
we're actually at the point where the cab comes off now. And so the 6.2 is a bit of like a major problem in a kind of a normal hot rod way. When I put it in, the oil pan's below the frame rails and the intake's above the cowl on it. But I was always planning on building an intake manifold for it, modifying an oil pan, ain't that big a deal. But you don't realize how big a 6.2 is until
Dude,
you
it's
put
huge.
it in the unibody. Oh, it's massive. So, and also I'd been where I really like to have actual centerline on my cylinder one edge, right? And maybe even centerline, but this one, it would take so much cab intrusion and come and you know, eliminate so much foot box that it's gonna sit back in a kind of a normal place. I'll be like on centerline with 2 and 3, but it's not that heavy a motor, so it'd be okay. But we're at the point now with being a torque arm rear suspension. The mid cross member has to be like, it's multiple purpose. Like it's the rear suspension and the trans and all the cross member and all these things. So we're at the point now where you get a final location for the motor and then pop the body off, build that, and then we can go to finishing the rest of the truck.
Can I show him some of the metal?
Oh yeah, you can go whatever, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I designed this chassis in 2016, and kind of this was my early what I thought I was going to go into production with, but this right here is it's too involved. Having a 4.5-inch ride height, like it requires a lot of modifications to get it together. Like you're not just gonna pull it out of the box and throw it on the truck. Like it takes another shop to put it together, or someone at home with a lot of experience. Yeah. And so, not to mention initially the front suspension, I was looking to build my frame rails and then use another suspension company's components that they were already manufacturing to speed it up, reduce cost, all these other things. As I got into it, I found that it wasn't viable for a few reasons. I don't think it was a bad idea, it just really wasn't going to happen. And so after, you know, we tried to pick the most reasonable suspension for it, and we ended up having to modify so much that it really, we needed to develop our own suspension from uprights, control arms, everything else. Since I had the stuff, I decided to go ahead and put them together, put them in this truck. But like I said, I only work on it about 2 weeks a year. So that's
at least you got really far in the last couple of years.
yeah, a little bit.
It's what, like 6 weeks worth of work?
Yeah, exactly. For one dude. And so if it was any other shop, it'd been on the road and retired and sold 3 times already. Oh yeah. But the idea with this one is, like, you know, like I tell John, you know, it's like there's definitely 2 schools of thought in the sport truck or mini truck world or whatever. And I guess one, you know, is like you want it to be laying on the ground like it's broken and sit in your lawn chair next to it. And that wasn't a theory that I had. It wasn't something that I appreciate like I did when I was younger. I'd rather look cool grabbing second gear sideways through the intersection, and so that's even being on air, we still feel that way, or I do. And so the suspension setup is very aggressive performance between the geometry on it and the height of the truck and the wheel choices on it, to run as light of weight wheels as we can, as big of brakes as we can, and have as aggressive geometry. And so that being said, it's like there's a compromise there, and when it comes to like just some of what you think of as a traditional sport truck appearance, and then functionality is altered a little bit. You'll find that our trucks have a little more camber on them because when they're aired out, because we have a progressive camber gain on it. We like throwing them into the corner. Anyway, so but that being said, it's like, you know, look for me out there on the main streets come 2045, you know, I'll be out there. So
hopefully we're allowed to still drive them by then.
I'll be the last one.
There we go. Oh man. Yeah, that's a little bit of bed work.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely gonna take some bed work. But I'll tell you, you know, one thing also you see in the rear is like with the way that the notch is done is if we were gonna do, if this was, you know, maybe I should back up and say the flat bed floor I love, other than it turns most trucks into worthless trucks and worthless cars. At the same time though, it's 2 seats and nothing else. And so I actually prefer retaining as much bed depth as possible so that the truck can still be used as a truck. To me, it doesn't matter how big the tubs are, it doesn't matter a lot of things. I still want my truck to do truck stuff. And so for that means putting another set of wheels in there, my ice chest, overnight bags, tool bag, all the crap. And so I like being able to use that. So I use this method as far as making the notch. Otherwise, if this was a race car or if it was we didn't care about it, what we would do is do a long step up and over and run a continuous rail. But this particular design was meant to create as little bed intrusion as possible. And then the extra height in is, rather than having like the exhaust, you know, I personally don't believe that exhaust under an axle even qualifies. Like, to me, it's a failure. I hate it. To me, it's a failure. So everything goes up and over the rear axle. And so the additional height is meant to put big exhaust in and completely tuck, just like a factory vehicle. You know, I think a lot of times people in the custom world discount the effort and thought that goes into manufacture from a factory level of things that they consider, and they think about that for longevity. You'll see factory vehicles on the road 200, 300 plus thousand miles, and that's because they considered all of those options. They considered the wear and tear, the accessibility, the work, you know, how they can work on it. We're not even talking about NVH, just how the vehicle exists. Yeah. And so I try and incorporate as much of that as I can while getting as much go fast and cool guy crap in there at the same time.
I think you're doing it.
So,
dude, I still can't get over the patina.
Man, it's rare that, and I'll tell you, so I went up there to buy this thing based on that only. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like, oh man, it's like, you know, granted, if you're buying unibodies, if you're into them, you know, there ain't nothing. I don't think there's another vehicle that has less parts than a 6123 unibody. There is, I've built so many cars, and all of those have a lot of parts. I'll tell you the one that blows my mind. We did a television program. We did a 49 Chevy, and that has enough parts for 4 or 5 vehicles. Like, there are just too many parts to the whole thing. And if you have one, you know what I'm talking about. But unibodies, it's like, I think if you broke down every spring, every screw, every washer, I bet there's only a few hundred parts, and we're talking screws and washers, not even large components. Yeah. And so, which was honestly one of the features that they were after, is a lighter, cheaper to produce truck, and they were successful in that. But it always blows my mind that in 61 and 2, people hated this truck so much they partially went back to the old truck for 1 year. Yeah. But, you know, if you're being progressive, you know, you can't always win. But I'm happy they built them, and I love them to death. And they definitely have an attitude the rest of them don't. And
what's lucky on this one, dude, is like your over here, it's always blown out. I very rarely see them not blown out.
Well, but I'll show you some. So we had some small pitting here. I had one of the guys back at the old shop do some repair, had to keep it as small as possible. So I'll be airbrushing and blending that back in. That was about it. The floor really was in great shape. On over the other side. If you've got a unibody, you know about this. This is, in fact, if you don't have this, maybe you don't have a unibody. You know? And then, so like we were talking about, is the back of the B pillar here, like same thing, had some holes here, a little right here, little pits there. Once again, that'll be blended back in and buffed out, and no one will see it. And as far as when we say patina, this truck is, in my opinion, about as far as you can go before you have to clear them. And let me be clear about it. I don't think that clearing old paint vehicles is the right choice. I think it's the last stop before you have to paint.
Yeah, it's gonna get destroyed.
Yeah, well, and for me, it's transfer. It's like, if you like sitting on your trucks and lean on your trucks, you don't want to get all of your clothes and stuff like that. And that really kind of is a bummer. Because like, I don't wear clean, you know, I don't get all dressed up and wear super clean clothes all the time unless I'm going to a car show, and I don't want to be ruining those 2 or 3 pairs of go out clothes I have, right? And so that being said, this truck, it has been, I buffed it a couple times, I went through a big process once and buffed it, and I was really, really happy with the result on it. But I went ahead and CLR'd it one more time, hence the chalky appearance on it. Currently it needs to be buffed again. But I don't think that you can have any more rust than this and still call it patina paint like it's rusty. Yeah. And I currently have one at the house. I've got a 65 Galaxy where there is no paint on the deck lid, the roof, and the hood straight up.
Yeah, just metal.
And I've CLR'd it, and the paint on the sides, like, I'll take it. I'm good with it. But the sides facing the sun, they're gone. And they've got these nice little, rust patch fades that come down the sides right there. It's gonna have to get flat cleared, but we'll run that, and one day it may end up getting a paint job. But I personally love patina. It's only original one time, even if you only got 10% of the original on there. But at some point, I think we all have to be real, and it's rusty.
Yeah. That's my biggest fear with my truck is I live in South Florida, literally 5-6 miles from the beach.
Yeah, you can kiss it goodbye.
I've owned it since May, and you could start seeing, the little bubbles are getting a little bigger, and I'm like, all right, I probably need to figure something out to seal it, even though it doesn't have like heavy patina.
But it's where you live, it's not like the guys in Michigan or Wisconsin or Ohio where they're driving around in brine. You drive around in brine, it's inside the brakes, it's inside the door handles, the hood, it's everywhere.
Yeah, you're just smoked.
No getting away from it ever. It gets between the seams. It's gone. Like, I don't know how those people deal with it, but they do. Where you live is a little different. It's in the air, and it's spring, summer, fall, winter. I mean, it's all the time. And so people, like, I've gone and looked at thousands and thousands of cars, and like been to California, be like, oh, it's an original California car. It lived its entire life within 4 blocks of the ocean. There wasn't anything left of the car. It had never seen salted roads a day in its life. The atmosphere was just carries so much.
Now, if you're
salt.
talking Bakersfield, California, different story.
Yeah, completely different story. So when people go California cars, there's a little buffer zone there that looks just like cars out of the Midwest. So maybe even
if not even worse. Yeah. I remember there was an old thing that Ronnie always says is that if you could take a truck or a car from Arizona and take the interior from like Milwaukee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because their interiors are perfect.
Well, because they don't get the heat that we do.
And the rubbers are all perfect.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. Up north, though, it's like I always case on cars from up north, and largely it's like most of them are junk. But the one odd thing that we find, and there's a reason for it, is that convertibles are almost always in great shape. And like you said, interiors, because they don't get sun-baked. And here in Texas and in California and Arizona, our in-cab temperatures with the windows up is enormous. It'll turn rubber into liquid. And so they do have a hard time dealing with that. The paint's all burned, but all the sheet metal is in good shape. And I'll take that, every day over the other. But during the winter, they'd have winter cars because it was nasty. You were going to slide off the road. You were going to deal with salt. And so, like, their date cars, they would live in the garage all winters long. So they have a fraction of the miles. They don't see the salt. Not to say they don't have some issue because they get them out early in the spring and there's still salt on the road. But, like, ultimately, they're pretty nice cars. Interiors, they've been inside their whole life. So you won't find AC cars up there, but convertibles and good interiors.
Hey.
So.
Not a Ford.
Yeah, well,
Ford smoked them.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, so gentleman up north in Canada, Damon runs a YouTube channel and web page and everything that goes along with technology, entertainment. So Daily Driven Exotics, they were big fans of the Unicorn, with the Hoonigans and Ken Block, and so he really liked the styling on the car. This car made 730 horsepower in and spins to 4 billion RPM. It makes all the noises. It's infectious. This thing is crazy to drive, and as they're well aware, most of their cars are, but they wanted to crank it up a notch, and they really wanted turbos hanging out of the hood, and lots of fire, and wild horsepower. Basically just destroy a $300,000 car, which I like bad ideas, and so we kind of got together on it. And so between all the drift racing and Corona and 2020, all the different traveling and stuff we were doing, it hasn't progressed really quickly. But here we are, twin turbo F12.
Couple Nagasaki nasty boys.
Yeah. I don't want to get too deep in it. Kind of let Damon share this with his fans, but anyway, it's just.
I'm more interested in the tools in the shop than I am in the Ferrari, honestly.
So I'll tell you, it's like between the welders and the plasma table, it's like in my 3/8 impact, it's like those are the most used tools, and I really draw on Bobcat and SolidWorks, and then so it's just think it, draw it, cut it, make it, and so largely it's like here we run Bailey tools and Lincoln welders, and that's how stuff gets done. And then like I run a 2x4 mandrel bender, and then it's like we just maybe have people haven't know about it, but we prefer to do work for other shops, and we've done bend rails for other shops where if they have a customer, they can deal with the customer about their specific needs. They can send me a hand drawing, and then what I do is I'll convert to a CAD file, send it to them, and then if they approve it, I bend them up, and they can ship out usually within a few days or maybe a week or so. And so I can't run full length frames. I have an 8-foot bed on it, but because I designed it around my frames being stitched together like on the unibody, you'll see it's got a 2x4 front and rears with a 2x6 center on it.
Okay.
And which for a lot of reasons, there's a kind of it builds an internal gusset, integrated gusset into itself. The other thing is it's more the appropriate size of the frame rail, fits under the truck well, not to mention it's pretty strong. So mine were designed to be stitched, so I can run whatever hangout is plus 8 foot, but we can discuss that if anyone's interested in mandrel rails. It's like I'm happy to bend them for other shops, it's just with customers, it's like if they draw something and they get it home and they misunderstood what they were doing, that's their deal. So I prefer working with shops that have experience.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I had no idea that you like were in here all by yourself fabbing all this badass, you know.
Yeah, well that's also the reason, if anyone's dealt with me, I'm not very fast, and that's kind of the reason is it's just like between answering the phone and go pick stuff up and go do this, it's like we might, it's like might get 2 hours of welding done and then like nothing else the rest of the day, or I might be able to machine 2 parts and then do something else. So it's always a challenge, to be by yourself and run everything, but at the same time though, it allows us some flexibility, but it is definitely a built-in challenge. So then, right now we're just working on some charge pipes on the F12, trying to get it kicked home. It's definitely been here long enough, and sadly, been held up just due to just all the different directions that I run in and not be able to put people on it whenever I'm gone. But that's it. And then we got the Burb here. Picked it up recently. Did some trading, and for anyone's a big Falcon fan. I guess you're gonna cry yourself to sleep tonight. So I did some trading on it, and so the Falcon was an incredible vehicle to take me different places in life and big experiences. As a race car, it's really a time trial car because it's hard to class with other cars, so I always end up running an open class, something like that. Done some door-to-door racing. Obviously, I raced at 14, 15, 16 on the mountain, and went down to Big Bend Open Road twice, and really just trying to find a lot of things to go do with it. But I'm not at a point in my life where I can have cars that I don't drive necessarily, and so there was a lot of interest in that car, and I had someone reach out, and they were interested in the car, and that made me happy about it. So I threw a prep on it, and I had to put door bars in it because I was up at an event running a time attack deal, and I kept hitting my elbow on the door bar, so I sawzalled them out so I could finish the event. So real quick, tossed some door bars in it, got it prepped, got it on its feet, and we made a trade on the Burb.
Nice.
The Burb it's a beautiful example. I know on Ford era TV here, and
I've actually featured one Chevy, but it had a Coyote under the hood.
Oh yeah, well I'll tell you, I'm a big fan of that. So KC, which I'm sure everybody knows, a long time ago he had a '67 Camaro, and it was just sweet as could be. I mean, it really was a bit of a cream puff, and we had a Coyote sitting next to it, and we were about a day from shoving the Coyote in it for no reason other than just the anger that it would cause. Ultimately it found a better home, and so we didn't have to cut it up, but we came
yeah. A couple more beers, it would have.
Oh, it would have been in there. Absolutely. But yeah, this thing here is sweet. I think it's really just a beautiful example of a survivor truck.
And she's for sale, guys.
Yeah, and so it's just really fun. I took it down to Lone Star Throwdown this weekend. Had a lot of fun. A guy across town did a late model engine swap on it, and guys that had it up north put the interior in it, and it's just a sweet old truck. Like to see it go to another home. If it doesn't,
it's Turbo LS, right?
What?
Turbo LS?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got a built 6-liter and a turbo off of some kind of dump truck.
You guys make sure you hit up Aaron if you want a Suburban that's literally ready to go. I mean, it was what, 600-mile round trip?
I don't even know. Houston and back.
Yeah,
whatever that.
Far
was.
enough.
Yeah, and we were rolling. I mean, as long as the state troopers aren't watching this video, I mean, we were rolling 85, 90 the whole way down.
Yeah, you were going faster because I couldn't even keep up with him. We went out for dinner one of the nights, and we're heading back around the highway, and he's doing probably 95. My truck tops out at 87. Like, Gold Dust can't go faster than 87. It literally doesn't let itself.
Yeah.
So, Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Still got all the rain and debris on it. But yeah, that's about it, man. You
Awesome.
know? So we've got beautiful equipment, beautiful shop, and it just, you know, knock out the best work we can when we can, you know. But that's it, man.
Got any trucks that actually run?
You know, sometimes there ain't nothing around here that runs except for my truck. But I got this little cut down. And I'll tell you, I got this little story. You want to hear it when you see the truck? You want to hear it now?
We're on the way over, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. You know what? Come here. Me grab the keys on it.
All right.
And we'll do this.
Oh, looks like we're in for a treat. Might be a what the truck. I'll probably include it into this episode though.
So, I was, you know how this goes. Like you're, every day you wake up, first thing you gotta go through Marketplace, Craigslist, find everything. Well, one day, instead of going to work, I decided I'd go buy more junk, and that's exactly what I did. So a few bucks in my pocket in a trailer, I went over to Fort Worth, and I hadn't owned a factory four-wheel drive truck, F100, F150, I hadn't owned one. And I thought, well, I really wanted to, I kind of want to experience it, right? See what it was all about. So I went over and looked at it, half-ton, 150, long bed truck, and it ran sorta, it drove kinda, like we got in it, and it's probably as borderline deadly as any vehicle could be. We went down the street, came back, and put it on the trailer, brought it home, made a deal, bought the truck probably $2,000 or something.
Nice.
It's got a 360, 435, MP205, high pinion 44, 9-inch. I thought, for an old truck, it's got all the cool guys.
Yeah, it's
stuff.
the setup.
Yeah, and so brought it back, and the reason I got it was because I thought it was cute, one. And the second thing is, on my street, I live on a private street, and we don't have any city services, so we're all on well, all on septic. There's no mail, there's no trash collection, and so we have to take all of our trash. So it was my trash truck. So I throw the trash in the bed, and on Mondays I run a truck up top of the street and take trash out and come back. Well, so this is how it begins. So I'm the battery would die if you don't run it pretty often. Well, so you had to start once a week. Well, anyway, so I came home one day and for lunch, and I started the truck, went inside, ate a sandwich, came back out, getting a Super Dude, rip off back to work. 3 days later, I come back home and I see the door open on my truck. Oh my God, somebody's in my truck. Or maybe I didn't turn it off. And so I don't know. I didn't know it had run out of oil pressure, had run out of gas, if it had just ignition. I had no idea what had happened. But one thing's for sure is it didn't run anymore. And so we, quickly deduced that it's not locked up. But even then, you can still hang one and they cool off, right? But so I thought, well, we'll see what we can get done. So if you've ever worked on these with electronic ignition, they're a pain in the rear, and they kind of suck. I mean, they can be okay, but they kind of suck. So I pulled all that crap out, and it'd been about, man, it might have been about 8 years since I put an HEI distributor in, and I thought, no, just get an HEI, just be done with it, right? So I ordered one up, one gets here, pull out of the box. Yeah, that's why I haven't put an HEI in a bunch of years. They are hideous, but they do work really well. So in it goes. Plug wires on, all this other BS, and sure enough, this old bastard lights off and it runs.
Nice.
All right, well, we got something. Well, now I've also got time in it. You know what I mean? Like, now I've worked on it.
Yeah.
And so I've started to grow an affection for it, because before it was just cute.
Trash truck.
It was a trash truck. And so, but now I've worked on it. So
your brain's starting to think, how can I make this cool?
Well, it doesn't have any brakes either, but on my street, it's private street, there's only a few of us on it. I can plan my stops out pretty good.
Put it in a low gear, let off the clutch.
So it's no big deal. Who needs brakes, right? Well, now that it runs, I really ought to put brakes on it. And I figured, oh hell, take it to the shop. I take it to the shop, we're gonna put brakes on it. Now it runs. Needs screw this, needs another manifold. This thing, oh my God. And it's like, I've been working with FEs a long time, but every time I take an FE manifold off, I am always blown away. It's just like, wow, this has got to be the heaviest manifold anyone has ever seen.
They're 82 million pounds.
82 million is the exact number. That's I'm 150 pounds. I can't pick it up, like not like out there, So I take the intake manifold off with an engine hoist. It makes me feel real manly. But anyway, so I get to working on it, and then I in case no one knows, I'm not a lift guy at all. Like, I think that, like, people, I'm not into it. I'm just not. It's like you got bad driveline angles, you've got bad steering angles, and sure, all this can be overcome, but you're increasing the leverage on the truck. I'm just not into it. There's a certain amount of height you need. Past that, it's just ridiculous. So when you want to put bigger tires on, the problem is not your suspension, the problem is your sheet metal. Fix the sheet metal. Not to mention, I think that people often choose really insane offsets for the wheels, which cause a lot of problems. And so my goal for this was, like all my trucks, no lift. And I've got a list of trucks I've done on 40s with no lift. And it's just the movement of the sheet metal, just augmenting the sheet metal to make it work. And the vehicles work so much better. This one was no difference. Granted, tires are much smaller on it, but like every one of these trucks I see, Broncos, it's like they're on 8 inches of lift to run 35s, and it just seems so weird, especially since 40s are the new 35. And so, to me, it looked like the wheel opening would support a 35. And so it's got 35 1250s on it, and on a 17.9 zero offset, and it is an inch taller than stock. Now granted, it's got a bunch of weird tricks on it that I've done, and I'll take you out and show you in a second, but I just figured I'd give you the rundown. Basically, it's a lightened up 360 with a 435, and if you don't know what a 435 is, it's a dump truck transmission. So first gear is like 661 or something to 1, like it's extremely low, and so you drive it 2, 3, 4, you don't even use first, so it's really, really low. But since the transfer case isn't a 4-to-1 transfer case, you get, when you're in 4 low and in low gear, you get a pretty decent crawl ratio out of the truck, and it's still on the highways, goes as fast as all the other trucks of that era. You're still no overdrive. But I just thought it had all the right neat gear on it, and it, everything on it was smoked. The steering was smoked, the ball joints were, everything was smoked on it. And so the only thing I've got left to do is I'll show you under the hood. I got a little stuff that needs a little attention, but I just got to do gears and lockers in it. I built 1-ton steering for it, because the original steering has, like as it droops at it, it'll tow the tires in real bad, and that just wouldn't work. Originally this thing had like a whopping 6 inches of travel. It now has 9 in the front, 10 in the rear.
Oh, wow.
And then it's on Fox Gladiator shocks. And to be perfectly honest, the fronts are not valved heavy enough coming off of a V6 Jeep, but what I was after was it now runs Gladiator setup on it. So everybody from King, Fox, Icon, Radflow, Bilstein, everybody makes really nice units for Gladiators that now just bolt on. You can buy really serious shocks that go on it, and it's just they're just a little undervalved. But ultimately, it's got bigger, longer shocks on it, and it's just got 3/4 1-inch spring in the front, and then the rear I deleted the block on it, so it's got built bump extensions or bump drops on it, and then it's got basically progressive no block pack in the back with my hangers on it, factory shackles, and I'll show it to you.
Heck yeah, keep you guys in suspense for long enough. She looks like a peach. There you go. Fired it right up.
So the story I got on it is this thing was originally sold, which I haven't validated any of it, in the Northwest, Idaho, Washington kind of area, and guy had it up there. It ended up migrating to Florida, and the guy worked on a boat or a ship or something where he had to be on call and couldn't go very far, so they never even registered the truck down there. It just went like from the dock to get beer and cigarettes and back, didn't even mess with it. Ended up back here in Texas, and I bought it as a long bed. It had some repaints on it, but these are the original colors on it, but it had a couple of repaints. The truck was 16 inches longer than it is now. And now my opinion about the best way to cut these down, well, let me back up. And for people that don't know, is Dentsides are the only trucks. I say that. I don't know every truck. They're like your Chevrolets and your other years Fords, and I don't know about Dodges, but I just don't know about Dodges, is all of the extra length for a long wheelbase is midship. And so every other year Ford and all the Chevrolets, if it got longer here, it got longer here, and that was to retain proportions. Well, they only did it in midship here, so it makes them pretty easy. Now, I personally believe the best way to do it is to cut them out of the headboard and move the headboard back, and you can shorten a Dentside with no seam, without a seam on it at all. And so that's really cool, but it's much more complicated, and like, I didn't want to be deeply involved with this, not to mention I was curious about the possibility and how it all lined up. So I just snipped this one right in half and just glued it back together. But since the truck is full of scars, I wasn't, this truck's not getting painted, it's not whatever. So I didn't grind a single weld. So I welded the truck back together, shot some paint over the top of it.
I mean, usually you only you know, clean up a weld when they're kind of crappy. But this one, which I didn't see, did you have a robot in there? Or?
Yeah, no, it's not. It ain't that nice. But and so it, so it's just a day, you know, a little bit on the bed. If anyone's done one, it's whap, 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 cool. Move somewhere else. Whap, whap, whap. Move somewhere else, you know. And so it took me about a day to weld up both sides of it and the whole bed. So the bed welding up was a day, but the shortening was quite literally a day. So I say it's kind of 2 days, and I don't really offer this service, but it's like these trucks could be cut down, drive in, drive out inside of 1 week completely. Fuel lines, brake lines, chop down, everything. Also the drive shaft. So basically when I shorten drive shafts, so I mark them, we keep them in phase. This one was shortened here, put back in, no vibrations, no problems with it. And so it's like you don't have to go have another $1,000 drive shaft built. Like you really can just shorten them. People don't understand how the drive shaft work and how it's assembled. Once you do, it's not that complicated. But so it's got my hangers on it, and then the rear springs were a bit of an experiment. They're for a Bronco. It was difficult to find progressive, like basically the block's 3 inches in the back, and so these were 4-inch lift springs, and so it was going to be an inch bigger. But because of the not being unitized body, not having the camper shell on, not having rear glass, the truck is lighter, and so the rear spring pack's just the spring rate's a little heavier than it needs to be, and so we'll make some adjustment to that. But and once again, also you'll see Gladiator rear shocks mounted in the rear, and that was that was a little bit of an effort to get those in there, where I got the travel out, the motion ratio I was after, and you know, see how this all goes. And the reason we delete the block is just for the increased leverage over the spring, you know, various other reasons. But you know, here it is, short. And I'll tell you something else also, is like, while it takes 16 inches to get it to a short bed length, which is 6'9", it's like what I personally feel is the more appropriate way is 12 and 4. It actually will
cuts it down perfect.
Oh well, yeah, but this is factory. This is exactly the way all the factory short beds are.
Yep.
But I disagree with what Ford chose to do here. And I really think only going 12 in the front and going 4 back here, really, or something in that era, but not all 16 up front, because I feel like Dentsides have
a little bit long.
Have a long tail. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And I really think I think they'd look a lot better and perform a lot better if the wheelbase was just a little bit longer and the axle was closer to the back.
Lonnie's truck, schlong bed, he only took, I think, 12 out of the front and left it because he's like, it looks really weird. So his is in between a long and a short.
It is, because you'll notice, so it's like, you know, on these things, it's like, because you have all of this door, front fender, a little bit of bedside, you have a lot here. So it's not that distance is weird, it's just the ratio of rear hangover to front bed is awkward. You know what I mean? And so if you were going to shorten them, both of them, I really think that's the winner. But it's not. I thought ultimately it's not a forever kind of truck. I was just having fun with it. It's gonna go somewhere else. And I thought that if I had to explain why my truck was different than the rest of them, that it might hurt it. And so it is just like all the other short beds now. That's how that is. The rear shock placements are similar to stock, but they're not in stock location. And then so on the front, obviously, you know, if you're familiar with these things, they have a shock tower that comes up off the top here and hangs off. But and you can get a set of Fox 2.0s that'll work, and you can change the stud on it and make it work. But I wanted to use a set of Gladiator shocks, so the bottom was able to work out fine, and I had to build a tower. And then obviously there's some inner fender intrusion here, which that still needs to have a bucket put on and patched. And you'll see the other one needs a little more on that one. And it says Skyjacker 1-inch springs on it, and then basically got new bushings in it, and tightened everything up. If the truck were going to stay around or keep going, obviously I'd add a torsion sway bar in the front, and then we'd move on to Big Foxes or Kings for a stock Gladiator. And for an old girl, she got all she needs. And then, you know, about the 35s, if anyone's curious, so I've had this thing metal to metal, and then the turning on the back of it's absolutely fine. When you a 1250 on a 9.0 offset, you run into your radius arm. Like, that's going to happen unless you kick the radius arms. But you know, or you can limit your steering, which this one's got the steering stops turned out, and you just Austin powers around a little bit if you need to, like, if you're off road and you need to twist it up real quick. But in the front though, you will find out here in the front here, they do make contact, and it makes contact right here. And this is at full metal, and then you turn into it, you make contact here. And it's like, if you go and you see the second mark here, this is free and clear by about 1/4 of an inch, and this top mount right here, this is good and clear. You got finger clearance on it as it sweeps. And so just like on the bedside, this right here, and gonna get a pie piece cut and then knocked back, and then so you'll see a nice continuous flow of this line to just taper right on out and weld back, dust it on with some paint, not gonna grind it down, and that'll be that. And this thing sits 1 inch higher, 35 1250s, turns lock to lock, metal to metal, so it happens how it should. And then if anyone's familiar with the older, you know, basically like every couple of years they kind of change the steering setup on these things, and so I can't remember if it's, I don't remember where I got the ends from. Basically, this is K3500 Chevrolet 1-ton components, right? Okay. And heavy wall tubing put on, so it's got 1-ton steering on it now. I was gonna flip it and run high side on re-drill the knuckles, but the deal is, like, being at stock height, you can get them into the steering box, and there's just too many things running in. There's a space issue, interference issue. So I went ahead and left them on the bottom side, and no need to go to rod ends. These big ball joints for 35s will be fine. And while I would have enjoyed 737s, I didn't think the factory brakes could handle 37s. I didn't feel like the steering box could handle 37s. I thought it'd wear the components out. I thought 35 was a perfect match for a Dana.
I think it fits perfect too.
Yeah, and so not on it, I've got to make it all jam. And because I didn't want to go to the trail and think like everything was gonna break, like it was all gonna pop. And so so not in it right now, but I've got Yukon chromo axles for a front and for the rear, and obviously new joints on everything. And so it's just like all the driveline underneath it, all the axle components, all Yukon, and then ultimately I've got a buyer on it right now, but it's not out the door as you can see, but it was gonna get rock sliders on it, and then build out the spare and gearboxes in the back. So I just really wanted to have like this sweet old truck that's got a lot of neat little tricks on it, you know. Heck yeah. And I think we're really close.
I agree.
I guess I can show you under the hood. I mean, it looks like all of them. So, this old girl was abused and neglected, and so as you can see, had to pop some holes in the inner fenders, which my intention is fully to go back and sheet metal those back in, but you know, just did. When I got it, had an Edelbrock carburetor on it, which, you know, if you have one, it is what it is. And so, and then this massive HEI distributor. But you know, it was a power steering, power brake, non-AC truck, and so because initially my plan was this was going to be honest, I was putting this together as my King of the Hammers golf cart just to get around, right? And so because you can twist them up, ditch the mechanical fan on it, which I am a proponent of mechanical fans. I'm a big proponent of it. But whenever you think you're going to twist something up, you could run into a situation where the fan blade has an interaction with the radiator, which is typically a failure. And so this one's gone to electric fan setup on it. But you know, it's just sweet old dump truck, kinda. You know, that's it.
She cranked on the first time, and that's what matters.
It doesn't care about anything. This truck just wants to go. So
awesome. Well, yeah, I really appreciate you showing everybody, you know, the little setup over here, and then walking us through the shop.
Yeah, and then I'd show you this, but there ain't nothing to show. Yeah. It's just an old truck, and y'all all seen that 100 times over.
Who doesn't like an old truck? Yeah.
You know, the other thing is, just so people don't know, is, you know, don't think about, is like on the trim. So we shortened the truck down, need to shorten the trim down. I thought the trim was really one of the more unique features of the truck. You know, I thought it was cool. And so this is the original long bed trim, just snip snip. This is the original long bed rubbers, the bumpers on them, snip snip. Like everything goes back in there. If you take your time and pay attention to what you're doing, you'd be surprised how much you can chop up and we'll go back together. So
heck yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
Awesome. Well, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks, Aaron. And we're gonna record a podcast, so you guys make sure to listen to the next episode, or probably 2 episodes, we're doing a different one now, but make sure to tune into F100 Talk. Catch you guys soon.
And now a word from our sponsors.
It's Jason with F100 Garage, and we are at our shop in Gilbert, Arizona. And so we work really hard at building cool classic pickup trucks. And a lot of things we like to do are fuel injection swaps, whether they're LS or Coyote or Godzilla or whatever it is you're working on. We really like that better than we like the old classic stuff. That's just a personal preference here. So We have a lot of cool parts. If you're a Ford guy and you need a brand new chassis, we sell those and all the components that you would need to do a Coyote swap in your own personal vehicle. We also sell some LS components as well. But follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, go check us out and see all those components that we have on our website for your LS or your Coyote swap. Go check us out.
All right, so we wrapped up over here at the shop, knocked out a podcast, and then we're gonna go check out the private shop. So Aaron said I could bring you guys along, so you guys get to come along. All right, everybody, so we're over here at Casa de Kaufman, and Aaron showed me some cool.
I don't know about that.
He's got a killer Galaxy over there. It's gonna get on the knife one of these days. And then now we get to see old Charlie Brown, which I've really been itching on.
This place is sad because I don't work here no more.
Oof. Damn, he's looking good.
Yeah, so OCB finally got inside, and we've been sitting outside for a long time, and much like your truck. So this is on a 98 one-ton Dodge 3500 frame, and I know I'll talk about Dodge, but there it is. But 12-valve NV 4500, 241 case, Dana 60, Dana 80. The Dodge front axle is because goofy coupler on the other side with a two-piece, so I've already got new axles for it. So it'll be one-piece right side axle, Spin-Tech hubs for it, gears, lockers. I'm on 37s now, machined a set of Hummer wheels. This will end up on a set of Innovate 17s, but right now it's just on the Hummer wheels. We just cut the boards on them. Truck had high miles on it, but it drove like a champ when I got it in. It was a theft recovery. And then we switched Charlie Brown over, and Charlie Brown was a two-wheel drive 460 C6, off the road 17 years. Bought it from a guy in Orville, California. It was as described. He did a good job describing it. One problem is the drivability was nothing like he described, and we sorted that out over the next 2,400 miles. So.
Dude, that was an epic road trip.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's been hanging out a while, so it's cobweb. But there again, the spiders trying to take over my little shop here. But, nah, Charlie Brown's sweet. And this is, of all of my junky projects, this is my favorite. This is my baby. So I fully intend on this being my daily work truck full on. I have intentions of going down and running Nora, and this is my chase truck, trailer, you know, Bronco on the back. It's like those are the goals, but this is my sweetheart. The one thing about doing the late model conversion, as you're aware to it, is like the axles are too wide for the body. Like it really pushes the wheels out, which causes a little bit of a problem. So I'll end up running, instead of running zero offset, I'll still run a high offset as long as we, you know, keep them off the frame and control arms. But like I really don't, in case people have picked up on, I'm not a fan of my wheels hanging outside of the truck at all. So that being said though, so we'll try and keep these as tight as possible. And once again, the Hummer wheels they have a high offset or high-ish offset. But this is it. The Redding 6-door service bed has been on it, best I can tell, its whole life. And I
love how they put this.
Yeah, it's in pretty good shape. Yeah, this is strange.
Yeah,
like it's, you know, cool.
It kind of matches.
Yeah, it kind of matches. And so right now the cab's sort of mounted. We got front cab mounts and rear cab mounts. The rear cab mounts are directly off of its two-wheel drive chassis. The core sport's floating right now, and the bed's just sitting on 2x4. So the project obviously has gone nowhere. But there it is. It's just hanging out.
Did you have to shorten the frame at all?
Get this. This service bed on the two-wheel drive setup, the service bed didn't line up with the wheel center line. It wasn't a problem because it ran little bitty tires. You know, 16.5s when I got it, we put 285/75 16s on it, and they fit in there. It didn't matter that it was off center. The wheelbase on the 3/4 ton, so it's extended cab, long bed, 3500 Dodge, fits this truck better. There's a 3/4.
Really?
Now I was saying it wasn't much different, but at 3/4 of an inch difference really made things work out well. But I am, because the 37s won't fit in the service bed, I'm going to reshape the wheel openings on this, and then ultimately the top boxes. You know, when they open up, I was hoping to not get. I mean, it would be nice if this didn't have boxes on top, because I really prefer my 6-door service beds with a slide-in camper. Because if you put a slide-in camper on a pickup truck bed, you have no gear. You can do nothing. And so I really wanted to put a sliding camper in, have access to all my equipment, but in the chase truck and work truck aspect, to be able to, you know, use the bed is necessary. So I think what I'm gonna do is do fold-out canopies on the left and right out of the top boxes on it. That way, ultimately, if we put something in it and we have to, or set tires on it, or we have to use the top edge on it, we're only gonna miss the canopies. Like, we won't use them as a functional box. But that's it. It's just, here it is. Here's the baby.
Hell yeah. So mine they shortened up 5 1/4 inches. That's why I was curious. But this looks much longer than my truck.
This is 100% stock 98 3500 Dodge suspension chassis, 100% with the cab transplant and the bed sitting on top of it. Has not been altered at all. You can see in the front with the cab.
And what originally was it? Extended cab long bed?
Extended cab long bed, yeah, on a Gen 2.
Okay.
Not 98, 3500. So, and I was gonna link it at first, but due to the truckness of it and the going to work part, what I'm gonna do is put a progressive pack and airbags on the back, and so we just retain a little more of the truckness and.
So run like a Diva or a Carly or something.
Yep. On yeah, with a big tapered sleeve bag on the back.
Hell yeah.
Because we'll end up putting a lot of tongue weight on it, but yeah, it's got factory springs in it, with the Cummins in it, or everything. So I mean, it is. We pulled the body off, stuck this one on. That's the end of the story. Fenders haven't been altered. There it is on 37s. So
man, I'm kind of jealous. It's just on 37s. You ain't have to lift it.
But it's a dent. Yours is
yeah, dents have much more space.
So
did you build your body mounts to give you lift or no?
No, you can take a look and see. And like, as a matter of fact, you can see underneath here how tight it is to it. So like right here, it doesn't fit. Look in the back. So you can see how tight this is to it on the back.
Yeah,
so you
pretty
can't
much up on
you
it.
Can't sink it any further.
Gotcha.
So while you have this unused, this is the difference in chassis style. But so you seem like you have this big gap here, but you can't get any lower unless you start to cut the floor. And I didn't want to cut the floor.
Yeah.
So
no, that's for sure. I didn't realize this was a 350. I thought it was a 250.
Nah, a big boy. And then we'll pop this open.
That's an awesome hood latch.
Seems to work. So the idea is, so when you take the AC out, you have this massive hole. So you can see like this, like I said, this literally got dropped on here and never got touched again. Anyway, and so we just notched out that little corner there because I'll fix that out so that if we want to pull the manifold straight off the side of it, we can. And you see so many of them, how hard and tucked they are. Yep. And also, once again, we've taken the factory motor mounts and trans mount and slid them back in the truck 3 inches.
Oh, okay.
So like if yours is in your truck in the stock place, it's like that's where things start to get weird. We took the motor and like so we put the axles where we want it, we moved the motor back 3 inches inside of it. So.
Huh. Nice. So when are we gonna finish this thing up so we can go do a road trip?
Get in line.
We need a road trip, brother.
I know.
Is that your great grandfather or something?
Nah, some fan sent it to me. Someone sent it to me. We always thought it was cute.
It is.
So, yeah, so that's Charlie Brown.
Dude, and the
One
shop.
it's my favorite of all my junk. It's my favorite.
Dude, this is a great size shop.
Oh, I'll tell you this. So it's 40 by 40, it's 1,600 feet. I adore working in here by myself. It works perfect. The only problem is when you blow a car apart, it absorbs the entire shop. And I don't have any other storage except for what's in here. And so when you take one car apart, you can't move in here. But you can, if you don't blow the car apart, you can work on 2 cars in here, have 2 guys working it, and it works out pretty good. But it's like the second you take a car apart, it's all over.
Nice. Any other trucks sitting around here somewhere?
Out Larky on the side over here. So here's Larky, desperately in need of a wash. Got this out of a field in Mississippi. Like the same house, but like the Bozo was up against the house and this was out in the field. And then Jonathan and a buddy of ours, Elliot, they almost got destroyed by this Egyptian war horse or something that tried to eat their ears and kick them in the face. But we all survived though, and got this thing home. And it belonged to an uncle of a friend of mine out in the Delta, and got collected on a bad debt and got sold to me. It was a small block automatic, power brake, power steering, AC truck originally. Motor got pulled out. We built the motor, went in something else. One day it was just up on stands. I cut the beams out of it, and then one day I needed to move it. So it's got a Vic tossed underneath it, and that's it. And then here's Larky.
What's the plans with it, or for now it just sits here?
I was gonna make it 4-wheel drive and all this stuff, but I mean, to be honest, I'm probably gonna sell it. I mean, I don't have any need for it. And it's like the front fender could be hammered out, and it's the same color and everything, and it damn sure could be hammered out, but it's just kind of the bed's just maybe a little too far gone. But it could go live at someone else's house, that's for sure. So there it is, just Dentside short bed. That's it. That's all the toys. That's all the junk I got sitting around here.
There you guys go. So I'll see you in a second. So Aaron's got his truck and said we want to grab the keys and see how she feels.
Pretty rad, man.
All right, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's dark outside. We had a little bit of fun. And we'll catch you guys next time. So as always, if you like the video, consider subscribing to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. Make sure to check out what Aaron's got going on, the Arclight on Instagram. See you later.